When I was a little girl, I loved playing with Barbies. I remember laying all the outfits across the floor and just wishing I could wear my favorite Barbie dress.
Little did I know that I could. All I had to do was grow up and learn how to sew. That's the power of sewing. You can take an idea and turn it into a reality. This is how I did it.
First things first, I had to do a lot of research and order the supplies and materials that I needed for the project, plus the accessories. They all came: the Barbie, shoes, cute hat, I got a bag, the laces, and the fabric, and I was ready to begin. So I draped a pattern on my dress form, and I wanted to copy the Barbie dress exactly, so I just mimicked the darts in her dress, which there was only one dart that went straight down from the bust point, and so I copied that. After doing that, I just take a pen and mark all of my lines, and then I thread trace it, and I tested it out and I liked it. So now I can copy that onto a paper to create a pattern piece. So you can see the dart there, and I just copied half of that on another pattern piece, and I was ready to use that to cut out my fabric. I actually made the dress a while ago in a different fabric to see if it fit, and I liked it, and I've worn this many times, so I knew I was going to like it. Then I cut out all of my blue fabric. The skirt was really easy. It was just a bunch of rectangles, so all I had to do was just measure them. And these are all my pieces. I have some white for the lining of the bodice. The first thing I had to do was add the lace trim onto the straps. So I pinned them, and then I stitched in the center of it, but leaving the edges open, and I just fold that over and pin the bottom side of the strap on. And I stitch that on both sides and turn it, and then top stitch that very edge down. So the lace is actually anchored down in 4 different stitching lines. Then I sewed all of my seams together for my back pieces and my front of the bodice. And then I put 3 rows evenly spaced, and I sewed these down with 3, so 1 directly in the center and then on the very edge, and then I could do the darts after all of the lace was sewn on. So here I'm just making sure all of my matching points are aligned, and then I can actually sew the dart. And to do that, you're going to start from the base of the dart and go to the point. And then when you get to the point, instead of back stitching, you're not going to want to do that. You're just going to sew all the way to the end and then tie a very secure knot. And I decided to press these darts open just to have a balanced dart. You don't necessarily have to do that, but that's just how I wanted to do it because it makes the dart lay nice and flat. And you can see that these don't match up, but they didn't match up on the doll. And I was going for accuracy, and also the distancing of the lace makes that complicated. So I just went with unmatched, and I like that it is true to the doll. The main part of the bodice is ready, and I can add the straps on. So I'm just going to pin them into place in the front, and I'm also going to be putting my lining with right sides together, and I'm also going to curve up my straps to the back matching point as well, and then stitch along the whole top. So here I've pinned everything, and it's sandwiched in there, and I stitched that. Then I'm going to understitch, so I'll iron this flat and then understitch into the lining and the seam allowance. This is what it looks like. So now that that's done, I pressed everything and things are starting to look really nice, and this is when I wanted to add my little flower details on. So you can see that I cut them out of a piece of lace, and I chose this lace because it had the perfect flower design. It made for more work, but that's okay because I was going for accuracy over ease. And then I just had to pick how I wanted to place them. I could center everything exactly like this, but what I ended up doing was copying the doll, it was not centered, it was off-centered just a little bit, and I kind of liked, it made it more playful for me. So I ended up basting all of these on according to the doll exactly. And to do this, I had to tuck in all of those little eyelash pieces and then baste around the outside. So you can see here, it's copied exactly. And I ended up stitching those down on my machine as well. So here I've serged my pocket pieces and all of the edge pieces of the skirt. And then here I'm just experimenting with my distances between the lace and just seeing how it would look with little teeny scraps. And here I have 6 strips, and I was unsure if I was going to use the 6th one, but just getting a feel for the measurements, I decided to just start with the top one. And I had to attach the top 2 rows of trim because the pocket makes it to where you need them on first instead of around the whole entire skirt. See right here, I stitched the pocket into place. And then I'm going to be understitching right along there on both sides. And then I'm going to match up those side seams and pin the pockets together. And here I'm just taking extra care to make sure that everything is aligned perfectly when you open it up. And then I'm going to be measuring for the opening. So these little red pins are showing where that opening for the pocket is. So here I stitched everything right there, stopped, left that open, and stitched all the way down the side seam. I ended up picking up that piece of the pocket to where another row could be sewn beneath it. But that's how it looks on the inside, and the pocket's completely sewn, but I left it free from the actual skirt. And see, that's why we needed the trim on beforehand, is for that pocket opening. But now I can go all the way across the skirt, and there's no interruptions with the pocket, so it made it really nice to not have to match those side seams. Once I was done sewing on all of my trim stripes, then I was ready to add all the flowers to the skirt. And you can see that I'm just tucking in those little eyelash pieces and basting, and this is what it looked like. I spaced them just as the Barbie skirt was, and then stitched them down using the quilting foot, which really made things go faster instead of having to pivot around them. So this was very efficient. And then I was ready to do the pleats. So this skirt is both pleated and gathered. So I just wanted to do small pleats, one in the front center, and then on both sides where that pocket is, and then in the back. So I'll just do one pleat on this side and one pleat on the other. And then I basted all the way across the skirt and began attaching it with pins to the bodice. You can see that I'm leaving the pocket flap totally independent of these pins. And then I'm going to be doing the gathering. So I just evenly distributed my gathers and pinned those into place along the front and the back. And see, this pocket is always independently moving, but now we're going to pin it into place. And that way the pocket lays completely flat from the inside. But now it's going to be stitched, and we're going to stitch all of this together from one side to the other. And this is what it looks like. So I sewed 2 rows next to each other and then serged the top of it for reinforcement and cleaning everything up nicely. And then you can press all of that seam allowance up to the bodice. Now it's time to insert the zipper. So I'm going to sew these together and put the zipper in. It's an invisible zipper so you can see all the stripes match, and I have a video showing how to do that in very good detail. You can find that linked. And now I'm going to pin the lining into place. So matching the seams and folding that seam allowance under, and I'm going to pin everything into place before stitching. So it's all pinned, and I'm just using a simple fell stitch to go all the way around, just taking small stitches that are almost invisible. But you just go all the way around, turning the corner. I like to put a few extra little stitches in the corner, and that is what it looks like. Here at the top of the zipper, I put a little hook and then a thread loop. I love a thread loop because it can reach in the perfect distance that you want. And I really like the way it looks. It just kind of blends in. And I put a little tab at the bottom of the zipper just to make it comfortable and nice and finished. And then the last thing to do is turn up the hem, and the dress is finished. If you want to see more pictures and side-by-side comparisons, you can head over to my blog, which is linked down below this video in the description box. And also on that blog post, I link all of my supplies and accessories if you're curious where they came from. And I have a full price breakdown of this project of what everything costs, including the most expensive Barbie I've ever bought and probably ever will buy. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up down below. Leave a comment if you liked it or if you have any questions, and of course, you can subscribe to my channel and click the bell alert next to that to be notified anytime that I post a video. Until next time, go get creative and make something that you love. Bye!